Tech happens. Welcome to Zero Hit Points. It's October 2nd. I'm Ryan Miller. It's the October Octopus. We've done this before. Matt Amberg.
I'm still not sure what this means. You've said it twice now, and I'm some form of Halloween-based cephalopod or...
I didn't want to waste it.
No, it's really okay. It was something. I don't know. I'm very confused by it, but you know what's happy? I'm happy. I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm sorry. I apologize again. I apologize to you. I apologize to the viewers of this audio podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't, my thing didn't record, or it stopped recording. So this is going to be interesting. Maybe it'll stop again.
You didn't fill up the like your memory card or anything, right? It has space on it, doesn't it?
Usually it says full, though. Yeah, I don't.
Well, does it say full when it's actually full? Because once it gets full, then why?
It doesn't say full before it's full.
Well, it could say almost full, nearing fullness.
It should say almost full. That would be nice. Little warning.
Yeah, 75% full.
Like when I eat dinner, my wife's like, "You're almost full," and I'm like, "Thank you."
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah,
it was starting to hurt.
And I didn't know what to do.
I just keep eating. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
That's my go-to.
And then she finally says, "You need to stop." And that's when I just immediately the fork goes down, and I said, "Okay, thank you."
Yep. Walk into the other room.
Yep. Sit down.
Done eating.
I still got mashed potatoes in my beard. Gravy coming out of my nose.
This is Zero Hit Points. Did I do that? I mean, I have, but I don't know for this one.
Let's go again. Zero Hit Points V2.
Hey, when is that launching? Right now.
Yeah, there it is.
We play video games. We talk about them right now on this podcast.
Let's do it.
They could be games we've played. This week we'll see. Also games we haven't played, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
This week, I know for sure you've played a game because you already started talking about it, and then I found out I wasn't recording. I've got a couple to talk about, but it's not going to take me as long as it'll take you. So please, you started to play Spider-Man. I'll do as much of the work as possible as I can since you've already done it.
Terrific.
And you're mainlining the story because you've been caught up in the side stuff, which has been fantastic. It hasn't been a bad thing.
Correct.
But you wanted to get into the story. You've seen a thing about the story, a thread, if you will, a theme, maybe?
Sure.
What could it be?
It could be.
I didn't get to find out.
We didn't find out.
Matt Amber.
Let's talk about this more. So what they've done, and I think maybe one of my favorite ways, and I think one of the better ways, I'm not saying the best because it has been done very well in the comics, but I don't think it's been done often enough, and I like seeing this change, is Mary Jane. Mary Jane has kind of, when she started off, she was seriously like one issue of just a reporter, and that's what she was for a really long time. Just
right.
and not like a big character either. She was kind of the damsel in distress.
Yeah,
and
as was endemic to all those titles then. Like 100%. The female character was pretty much that. Yeah.
And she became more of an interesting character for them to write. And maybe more popular. I'm not exactly sure, but it drove the death of Gwen Stacy was I think more Mary Jane. And one of the things that I like about this game is they have decided to, number one, at the beginning of the game, they are broken up, and she is very clear, like, oh yeah, you screwed this up. You're like a huge reason we are not together anymore. But it's not so she is out on her own. She is an investigative reporter. She is out in the field. She is doing stuff. She's pulling, like, she is just as straightforward and blunt with Spider-Man as she needs to be. Like, she doesn't take any more of any of his guff. Like if you're not going to help, you're just, I can't talk to you right now. Like, I can't deal with you. And she's great.
It sounds like you're describing Lois Lane. I mean, number one, the reporter thing is becoming very tired, but
she is, in so many ways, it is very much a Lois Lane thing. And you can see it, and like you can see it in the comics too. There are runs of Spider-Man where she can be a dead-on Lois Lane character.
I guess it's partly legacy too. I mean,
I kind of assume that's where she kind of came from. They gave Spider-Man a Lois Lane. Why not? He's in New York. He works for a paper. Why not make her an investigative journalist?
It just seems to happen so often. Like the Flash TV show we talk about every now and then, and Thursdays we do a show about a movie. Iris, they made her a blogger after like a season maybe or something like that. I mean, it disappeared the following season, but hey, I feel like there's other jobs out there, I guess. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think for
Okay.
women in comics, you are either a superhero, you are a nobody, or you work for a paper.
No. But it's executed well here,
Sorry,
at least.
or
it's interesting.
or you're a nurse. That's the other thing.
Doctor Strange.
No, it is. She is executed well. She is.
So she's not a damsel. She's just straight up dead.
She didn't get to distress.
But well.
Yeah,
okay.
it was good. No, she's a great character. She's a strong character on her own. And I like that a lot because it does create some really interesting moments of Spider-Man making decisions that maybe he should have held off on because guess what you just did? You just lost me a lead. You just broke this thing that I was trying to fix. You did and it's happening. It's happened multiple times. And I love it because it totally does give more weight to that relationship. And
I do like that.
And as they're talking, like they talk multiple times, like we're talking pretty regularly through the cell phone stuff. And as you're swinging around, because she's working with you, you're working with her to get to the end, like figure out what Mr. Negative is trying to do.
Gotcha.
So all of the good stuff, like all of that great dialogue and great character building is minutely. This is my least favorite part of the game right now. When you play as Mary Jane and this is actually the same thing, you play as Miles and it does the same thing. It is all stealth and they're not difficult stealth things. They're like pretty they're pretty much like guiding you and it's just filler almost, but I don't like it. Not even a little bit. It's just not really fun. The best part about it is kind of hearing the villains talk. You're hearing the Sable guys talk, but they're really stupid. Like they push the story and they get you to a point. Like I don't feel like they're pointless. I just don't enjoy them. Like it could be.
Now I feel like on paper, if somebody told you, hey, you play as Mary Jane and Miles Morales at different points in the story, you'd be like, whoa, that sounds awesome, right? Like,
yeah.
I guess what do you do with that though? Because you can't. I mean, at some point you can have Miles be Spider-Man, but apparently not just yet, or maybe not in this game.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe you could. I mean, you could do the same thing with. Doesn't Mary Jane become a Spider-Man at some point?
Could be. I Gwen does. Spider-Gwen. That's the one I always remember.
Okay. How good does that freaking Spider-Man animated movie thing look?
Freaking great. And this is something I just found out about. I did not know this, and I have to figure out. I haven't looked it up yet how to get it. They have the animated series skin in there.
Ooh.
And it's actually like drawn. It's the cartoon, but the rest.
Whoa. So like the one from all the memes?
Yeah, it might have been slightly newer, but yeah.
Okay.
And maybe I'm wrong. But I saw a screenshot of somebody who was like, check this out. And it wasn't pointing at that. It was pointing at something else. And it was like there's a reflection of the two towers in one of the buildings, even though the towers are gone, like a little Easter egg thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he had that character. He had that Spider-Man. And
okay.
I think it's a skin. And if it is, I'm going to kill somebody.
Gotta get it. Every skin I hear about in that game, I'm like, rad.
There are some good ones. There are a couple that I'm not a huge fan of, but overall, like, they're really fun.
I mean, even some of the bad, I feel like we did this with Ultimate Alliance too. Like, even some of the ones that are bad, you're like, well, actually, no, Ultimate Alliance had some really very bad ones in every respect that I could have never seen and been fine. But I feel like there are some bad ones where you look at them, you're like, yeah, I'm never going to use that one, but that's cool. That's in here,
There is one in particular that I think is bad and I will never use that one. And I don't think it's good that it was in there. And the move that comes with it is just the dumbest thing possible.
Okay.
It is Punk Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
He's got a like spiked mohawk.
The denim
made
jacket,
of spikes.
I think, right?
He's got the denim jacket, and the move that comes with the suit is you basically jump up and then you do an air guitar riff, and you it's a shockwave. Like, it's the dumbest thing. I am glad. One of the things that makes me happy in this game is that when you unlock a suit, you unlock the suit power with it. You don't have to keep the suit on to use the power.
Yeah, I've heard you can switch them up. Yeah,
because there's one suit, and I don't remember what it's called. I think it's the invisibility suit, but you're like this weird silvery shimmery white thing with a kind of a black. It's got like kind of a black under thing to it, and
Underwear.
it looks like you could be getting ready to predator yourself and blend into the thing. You don't, but it's really cool looking. Yeah, Spider-Man's good.
Predators out now.
Yeah, don't
you seen it yet?
No, and I'm not going to.
I'm sorry. That's cool. I'm trying so hard to play Spider-Man. I'm trying so hard.
But tell me about the game that you played, or games.
I'm still God of War. Well, it's the Spider-Man God of War show. We're back.
Well, it's been a week.
It has been a week. And I play it every day. I'm not having a marathon session any of those days or anything, but I'm not hating any of it by a mile. I'm loving it is the thing. I also am caught up on the side stuff, I imagine, although I did enough of the side stuff that all I could do was main stuff. And I just got back from Helheim. I got my new weapons right before I went there and came back.
That's right. You have to get I forgot you get the fiery
ballpark halfway through the game. No, like I'm past it.
No,
right?
I don't think you're halfway through the game. I don't think you've gotten there yet. I think
I'm loving it. So we're okay so far, but I am a little scared. Again, the way I play games, that at some point I'm gonna get sick of it too much.
Oh, I don't know. So I think that's ultimately going to depend on how you want to play it. If you never change anything up and you kind of find this works for everything, which you can totally do, you can figure out your ruins and figure out if I just use these weapons, fine. Like if I just use this type of nothing. If you don't do that, if you actually explore the game and play with the ruins, play with like learning the moves, because the game gets seriously fun when you can actually string some of this stuff together. And I
have not got there yet. Yeah.
And it's like, it was something I had no interest in doing, because I totally did have that moment of like, I got pretty soon after Helheim, I started flipping back and forth between the axe and the chains, but I stuck with the chains the most because they are legit, like super fun to play with.
They seem more powerful too. They've got greater range as well.
They've got greater range and the power. I think it kind of comes depending on the runes. I don't remember the gem and the gem slots and all that. But once you like take a look at the moves and kind of learn how to do them, because you will find a way different game than what you're playing right now. You will find
it goes a lot deeper than a normal game.
Yeah.
This is part of the reason I've maybe stayed away a little bit. I mean, I've got a few things and I've stumbled onto a few things that I keep using because I did it accidentally, but in no way have I dug. I've completely filled out. In fact, this speaks to the pacing of the game. I completely filled out the skill tree for the axe less than an hour before I picked up the new weapon. So it's paced darn well.
I think I did too.
But I have never dug into it enough to use everything I've bought on that tree even. Yeah,
well, and so the I recommend at least doing it with the chains, because the chains definitely are a little more fun. But it
has renewed the game a little bit. Yeah, I'm finding out new things.
But see, here's the thing. Like there are like really super fun things you can do where you can start with the chain, switch to the axe, you chuck the axe, get back to the chains, go back and forth.
Oh, yeah. You can what?
Yeah, you can switch up while you're fighting.
Really?
Yeah, just press the button while you're in the middle of like it won't, if you're in the middle of something, it won't break the animation.
For sure.
But you can switch back and forth, and there were a ton of times where I would switch to the axe, do something with it, and then switch back as fast as I could because I had guys close to me. So you'd throw them around, chuck the axe around, and if I remember correctly, you can actually throw the axe and switch to the chains, and you catch it. It'll just come back to you.
Sure, okay.
But I might maybe I'm
I didn't even
wrong.
Think about chaining combos together with the two weapons.
But yeah, you can definitely there are a number of things you can going back and forth. You can do that to a point.
Although to be fair, in Helheim, the axe you can't use the axe. That's right, part of the reason.
But there are Helheim. I think Helheim is the only place you can't use the axe, and Niflheim maybe is the place you have to use. You can only use the chains because it's like all ice.
Okay. No, that is Helheim. Helheim, I can't use the axe because it's ice. And Helheim.
Okay, yeah.
I needed the heat from the chains to even survive or something.
Right. Yeah. I think there's another place where it doesn't. It works the opposite.
I would
direction.
believe it,
but
and I haven't even touched the Fire Kingdom especially since you told me it's more of a horde mode.
Yeah,
like
I think you go in there though because I think there's something you get from the first ring.
You can I have a set of armor, like 3 sets of armor that I can fill out using materials that I would obviously get from doing that mode.
I for some reason I think that maybe the dwarves have something there that you can. That's where you get it.
Probably.
First.
The dwarves are fun. Everything's fun. Everything's great in that game.
Yeah. Except Mimir, who's the best.
He is. Yeah. He's pretty good. And I mean, I keep saying I want to give final thoughts whenever I finish this thing, but I guess it's better than talking about absolutely nothing every week. I'll also give a shout out to Hold Down. It's getting the job done. I talked about it maybe a month or 2 back. It's the little handheld thing I picked up. It's the evolution of Balls. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Which was always a fun discussion because I remember being concerned with the design of that game for as fun as it was and kind of as addicting as it is or whatever. It has that type of gameplay.
Yes, it does.
It just never felt completely designed. It felt like kind of thrown together in a lot of ways, and it worked. And still good fun, but the Hold Down is the distillation of everything you wanted from that game and this game type. I've gotten through all the levels now to the point where there's the last. This is kind of a spoiler. But the last area is an infinite black hole because you're digging through planets. Like there's a planetoid and moon.
Guess who's
sun.
not bothering with this game anymore?
I don't think it's $3.99, so I think you were priced out of it already. But it gives you an infinite mode, and then I'm kind of grinding through that until I get all the power ups to max, and then you can start setting records on infinite mode if you want, which I won't get into for sure. That was my least favorite part of Balls anyways, but
the best part of Balls was just you and I going back and forth trying to beat
very possibly,
and that is usually for me when anytime there's a game like that and we are both playing it, it's incredibly more of a can I do better than Ryan? Like I remember
until one of us does so good and we're like, well, I'm deleting the game.
And I remember that happened with what was the Frogger game that's not Frogger.
You have me on Crossy Road still. I don't think I ever beat you.
I don't remember what it was. It was pretty good though.
I think I got you on Pac-Man 256.
Oh yeah, you beat me significantly there, and
Balls. I don't remember.
Balls, you beat me on that one too, badly. I remember that was you beat me by 10,000 points. I could not get it because it was something like you got something like 20 or 30,000.
Did that one go by levels or something?
I don't know. I just remember you got 20 or 30,000, and I could barely ever get 12.
I cheated on that one. I have another friend that I was going up against. I literally cheated on you at that one.
Well, you know what?
I was getting it from all sides.
Wow.
I had to compete, and I still lost. If that makes you feel any better.
Yeah.
The other friend, handily, I have no contest with. But that's it. But I'm grinding out a little Tomb Raider, but it's not worth talking about.
Fair enough.
That is it. We're going to have to dig into the world of games if we want to pad this show out any further.
Let's do that. This week I didn't mention this and I haven't watched it just yet, but the Rockstar is releasing the second gameplay video for RDR 2.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet. I will because I am never gonna not.
We talked about this too. I think last time we talked about Red Dead. Actually, no, we might have done a small thing on Red Dead Online too, when they announced that.
We did.
I talked about how I might just not watch any more of the trailers because I'm in whatever I got it.
Yeah.
And I very consciously saw this came up and did not watch it. So
yeah,
I was maybe gonna live through you if you had done it, but that's fine that you didn't. So.
I'm going to. One of the things though that I read recently that I think is just I really, really hope this stuff comes out the way they're talking about it.
It's gonna get impossible.
It's if you kill a random civilian and they happen to have a family, the family could decide if the sun gets a little older, it may come after you.
Oh, dang.
And I'm just thinking, my entire goal now is to kill as many randos as possible to see if I can get like an entire wagon train of people. Like I want it to look like,
something tells me the game will support this. Man.
I want to live a Magnificent Seven moment. It's,
Man, spoiler alert for the first Red Dead. But that's weighty given how that first game ended.
Oh man.
That's kind of cool.
If it comes out that way, that's going to be awesome for real. For real. Okay. All right.
But yeah, it might get impossible. And to be fair, I don't think Rockstar hasn't really changed their marketing cycle from what I remember from GTA 5. I think it's everything around that's building this up to crazy proportions.
Sure. This is, yeah, I hate to say this. I hate hearing this, but based on track record, I just like there may not be another company outside of Remedy where for me, I can pre-order that game and I know that's going to be good. I am going to love it.
Not only have they attained a level of consistency, but when Rockstar fails, they fail kind of spectacularly, like you still want to play that thing, right?
Oh, sure.
And I can't even think of what game I'd be referring to. I mean, the other GTAs are kind of evolutionary in a way. You could point to them and be like, well, that doesn't really hold up or something because of what they've done since.
But that's the thing. It's like, 3, I think, is the one that has the hardest time. I think actually GTA 1 and 2, maybe not 1 as much, but GTA 2, like that top-down thing, if that's what you're looking for, that game is still tops. It's so much fun.
Right.
But like Vice City kills it because they have it still looks all right. It's got a terrific soundtrack, and that goes a long way. And then GTA 4, fantastic. GTA 5, San Andreas, fuck, people still are loving that.
Yeah.
So I mean, GTA
Speaking of
3,
which, I didn't know that was an option on that's backwards compatible on Xbox. I was looking at it the other day. I thought that was like a phone game.
It's not. It's a full game.
Apparently,
and it was the first game where you could steal a jet, I think. And I think there might have been a jet pack.
Would you recommend? Like, is that worth? Because I'm into historical games as well. Like
San Andreas has a great story. Like that. It's. I mean, all of them do. It's very much a GTA game. It's a GTA game. I don't remember what gang you're a part of, but you're part.
No, but as a game, like, would you say it's worth playing? Still, I've never played it.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick for me, I would still choose Vice City. Because
right.
but that's it's aesthetic and it's the music, whereas that's closer for me than what San Andreas was. But San Andreas is probably the better game.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
fair enough. Our Rockstar check-in. Let's have another couple check-ins. In fact, most of these items I had up here were kind of housekeeping. We did real quick mention and talk about Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't real quick that we talked about it.
We talked minutes.
Real quickly, we mentioned how there were some issues with it and Nintendo's being Nintendo with the whole thing. Cloud saves they had made no mention of, or if they would survive beyond expiration of the service. They've come out and said they will last you have 180 days to resubscribe and you'll get your cloud saves back, essentially. Still kind of dumb it's attached to the service at all, but
I am curious, and I didn't read this, and I don't remember if it's in there, so maybe I just missed it or something. But are they allowing you to can you download your saves onto a memory card or something?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because if
I don't think so, actually.
If they were going to do that, then I would say yes, no big deal. I don't think 180 days is number one,
it's dumb because I mean what am I going to do, like let it lapse for 180 days a bunch to save money or something? I don't know. It's like you're still in or out.
I do absolutely hate that it's attached to this. That's stupid as all hell.
That's the bottom line.
These saves do not take up that much space, but that's
Well, with the freaking Switch, man, the issue is, especially for the Switch, like Microsoft and Sony don't offer cloud saves. This is hypothetical because they do. Sony took a little time, but they both do now. There's parity. But they don't offer it. Okay, whatever, because they're PCs in a box, and they have always offered some sort of local options. That's never been an issue.
Sure.
The Switch, people's main complaint is you lose that thing, you lose everything, right?
Yeah.
And it's a portable system, right?
Yeah.
So that they're not, I want to say they're not supporting local stuff, but that seems even then dumb for them.
No. Like there's local saves.
Do they support local management like they have for? I mean, they do on the 3DS, I guess.
Yeah. You can go in and delete stuff and all that. I've never looked to see if you can copy it to a thumb drive or something. I mean, I don't legitimately see why you couldn't. It just, I guess it matters if can the Switch port thing, the Switch dock, can that will it accept that as a valid USB thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do not remember. It's on the internet.
That's impossible to tell though. Or that on the internet.
There's some way.
If
only there were some way.
So I think where this is an issue for me is that there are a number of people that may be able to sign up for on a monthly basis, you know, and then they have to cancel it because something happened. They just can't afford that, you know, $4.99. Anybody out there who thinks that why can't you just afford $4.99 has never lived like super destitute poorly. I mean,
that's $1 more than Hold Down, for gosh sake.
Yeah, and that's at least, you know, you get to keep that, and it's got cloud saves, and it's got local saves. But I mean, that can be a thing. $5 is $5. You know, if you can't afford that because maybe you got to buy groceries, you got to buy, you know, that's the thing. Sure. I don't like it in that respect, but I like it. Just doesn't bother me if you're not having extenuating circumstances and you go, the service kind of sucks, I don't really care. All right, there you go. You know, my hope would be that your local saves are still there. You're still playing the game like that. And if you're not, you know, then...
You know, yeah. I mean, and it's not like I'm expecting them to keep them forever. Like, that's probably also not... I mean Microsoft and Sony probably do. But.
It would be better for them to say a full year.
But yeah, I could see especially if there's a local option, like, okay, yeah, if you got to manage it yourself. That's really the only difference here.
It's stupid, but
you're not entitled to otherwise, technically. So whatever.
Nintendo has always been weird.
Nintendo being Nintendo.
Yeah,
there you go.
Nintendo gonna tendy.
The other housekeeping issue, it might be a little bit more substantial. We did last week talk about the Telltale layoffs. Who didn't? This thing is nuts. What we didn't get into were maybe the specifics, which we didn't have completely at the time, but also kind of the aftermath here, which I think is incredibly important. And I'll be honest, didn't cross my mind as much as what we did talk about last week. So there's always kind of something you think about, but you don't think about it. And I think the fact that it's being talked about so openly and importantly now is also super cool.
And what is that, Ryan?
Oh, well, basically, Matthew,
yes.
After the layoffs, there was basically two groups, I guess. There were kind of the fans, and I think this is the thing you hear most often is when games go out of business, especially in the middle of a game, people are like, oh man, now we're never going to see the end of this game. This game got canceled. That's kind of, I mean, it's especially important here because the episodic nature of the game, the current season of The Walking Dead, was in the middle. So there was this idea that they weren't going to finish something that had already started, basically, and people had already paid for their season passes. So there was that group of people that were like, man, I'm never going to see the game. And so you got some announcements from people at Telltale that were like, well, we're courting multiple partners, was the terminology they used, to help produce the final 2 episodes of this season. And so that, I guess, was in response to some of the fans. But then you got this blowback from people that actually thought it through. Again, me not completely being one of these people last week, where they're like, wait, what if you, and maybe this is where the details are important, but those 250 employees that got let go did not get severance, got 30 minutes to leave the building.
Yeah.
That was their severance. So you got all these people talking about when are you going to finish the game, and Telltale talking about courting multiple partners to finish the game. And then other people are like, wait, like what about paying your employees? What about the people, basically? No,
absolutely. And I mean, I hate this word. I hate this word. This is what my job uses.
Community.
But I don't like that word either.
Oh.
No, they don't use the words layoff. They don't use the words termination. They don't use any of that. They say impacted.
Yeah, sure.
And some of the employees here may be impacted. Like, of course I'm impacted. You just canned me.
Right.
Like, don't say impacted.
I've been impacted by being fired.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and get past the fact that I'm impacted. Say the words that exactly define what has happened. I haven't been impacted by you. You have freaking fired me. So that's where the impact is from. But, you know, I agree. Like, why are you... Screw the game. You know, I get it. I don't like it.
We're checked out. But
it doesn't matter. Like, it's the same thing with give me a movie that deserves a sequel. Dread. Freaking love Dread. Dread is an amazing movie.
Carl Urban vehicle.
If for whatever reason half the freaking, you know, production crew didn't get paid, I'd say screw the sequel.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing.
Man.
I don't care. I don't like... I will take a game that I love the most, that I want to see desperately. Anything like that. Give me Alan Wake 2, but make sure everybody's paid for it. You know, like...
Yeah, I mean, there's suffering for your art. This isn't a new concept.
Right.
But the more people you involve in that, it becomes less of a concept, you know? Like, the employees at Telltale, especially some of the stories that are coming out now, and there was that big, was it Polygon? Did kind of, or maybe it was Kotaku, I can't remember. It sounds like a Jason Schreier thing, so probably Kotaku, where they talked about the kind of history of that company, and I forget even the name of the guy that ended up at the head of it, and how he was kind of just tightening his grip, and it became a bad place to work, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So if there was a suffering for your art thing, that thing shrank to a minuscule atom long ago, it seems like. So yeah, I mean, and... they're seeing real world repercussions for this. There has been a lawsuit brought against them by one of those employees, Vernie Roberts, in fact, on behalf of fellow employees, he says as well. Basically saying that there's this California law, WARN, which stands for Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act, which requires companies to give a certain amount of notice for mass layoffs specifically. And I guess there's a federal version and a California version. The federal version has some sort of stipulation that's not in the California version, so this is all still up in the air. But they are seeing kind of the effects of being a crappy company, I guess, basically. Like, this isn't a normal closure. This isn't something that, you know, I feel like there's normally more goodwill than not when circumstances like this arise. But the way they were, and that's what I think, actually, that's what it is. That's what the differences between the federal and the California one is, that if there were unforeseen circumstances or something like that. But that disclaimer is not in the California one. And I think that's still a case. Like, that's still something that needs to make it to court, because you got to argue. Like, if the guys at the top of Telltale are going to be like, unforeseen. There was, I think, Lionsgate was going to give us some money and they backed out at the last second, so we had to lay people off.
Right.
You know,
but that's one of those things. Sorry.
No. Go. I think you're going to say what I'm going to say.
That's one of those things where that's not unforeseen. You didn't have anything
that's
guaranteed.
Not cut and dry, right?
It's not a guarantee. You don't have a guarantee.
You got to the point where if you didn't get that money that wasn't for sure, you were going to have to lay off 250 people.
Right.
So there's an argument.
Which, I mean, and that's the thing is that means they knew they needed that money ahead of time. I'm not saying it's like malice aforethought. This isn't somebody like they're not going out to kill. But
hopefully
you
not.
Can't. There is no argument they can make in my eyes. And I'm not a lawyer, you know. So maybe there's some nonsense out there that I'm wrong about. But based on what you've said, there's no freaking way they can say we didn't see it coming. Like, your dollars, your budgets show it. Your lack of sales show it. The fact that you knew you had to reach out to partners show it.
Yeah. Adam, who sent us this article to begin with, Adam Parkin, our Canadian correspondent, again, he followed up, sent another thing which was, I think, just pulling numbers from True Achievement. So it's basically just achievement data.
Oh yeah.
But I think it was pulling the first achievements, like the first, and with Telltale games, you get achievements for completing the story. So it was basically the first achievement for completing the story, and it showed how many people or players, and again, this is just from the people registered at True Achievements, but something like this you can imagine is probably a little bit more reliable than, you know, who completed the game entirely, which is hardly anybody ever.
Right.
But they showed how many people completed that first achievement on each game, starting with The Walking Dead, and it was only down, man.
Yeah, people
and the whole time this is going down, they're signing new deals.
Right.
If you think about it, right? They're not slowing down, they are ramping up the whole time it seems that people are playing less and less of these things. So
yeah, and it was funny because I mean we talked about this shortly after I bought that Telltale pack, you know, like a year or two ago, and I played through the ones that we talked about, you know, and then they popped up and they said, oh, we got Batman coming, oh, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy coming,
still going,
we've got, and it's like.
That was when they announced like everything. Like they announced the Marvel partnership, which I want to say just wasn't Guardians. There was a couple things, wasn't there?
Probably. I don't know.
And these are all going at the same time, man.
Yeah, and they're just like I liked the a couple of the Telltale games, but ultimately like and the problem is that it's not that it's a point and click. It's not that it's an adventure game. It's not that it's the dialogue. It's the fact that you got the same glitches, the same stuffy, the same bad things that happen during dialogue scenes. All of it. It never changed.
They were investing in more games instead of obviously more tech.
Yeah, well, and they should have probably invested more in their people.
Also, it seems like and this none of this is to take away from their legacy. I think is the other thing you hear talked about a lot.
Nope, take it away. Gone.
They hit on something. They hit on narrative in a way that people hadn't before, even in that game type. Like I've heard people say that they're more than mostly responsible for bringing back the adventure game genre in a way.
Oh, sure. There's
an argument.
Sure.
No,
and I don't even think that. I honestly don't even think I don't think that's an argument. I legitimately don't. I think that Telltale really got the adventure games back. And I think this kicked off with Back to the Future because like they had Sam and Max, they had other stuff. But when Back to the Future popped up and they got Christopher Lloyd, that was big news.
And for the problems I had with that game, go listen to the show. Narrative was there, like, and was a focus. And you could tell they were like, "Hey, I think we got something."
And it was shortly after that where I think they did another Sam and Max game, and then they did. I think that was The Walking Dead.
I think so. Yeah.
And it was those were.
It was game of the year, man. Like everybody loved that.
Back to the Future, for all the issues you had with it.
The Walking Dead, I mean, not Back to the Future.
Yeah. Back to the Future, for all the issues you had with it, I still liked it a great deal. But it was a very different game than what we have now. Like that was totally different. It felt more like a late, a 90s adventure game. It felt closer to that because it was a whole lot more walking around and not, all the 3D stuff. But like once you found that game, then Sam and Max is very similar in that respect. And then you had The Walking Dead, which not only looked great, had a new way of playing the games, had a new way of kind of expanding the story, and really, really gave you something interesting.
And the story was good.
And they
invested in writers,
And then they just did that over and over again. And I'm not saying the writing was bad.
But at some point you didn't even care about finding out anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think this is what we got into mostly last time, but
so let's do it again. Keep going. Repeat ourselves.
For now, they have pulled the final season from stores, but their statement is kind of stupid anyways. Everybody started noticing that they were pulling the game from the store altogether, which seems a little strange anyways, because why cut off all income? But I guess it's the season pass. Like, I don't know if you can still even buy these things one by one. So at the very least, the season pass has been pulled, and I guess that makes sense because they don't know what's happening with the future of the game. But I hope they're not stopping all income of money, because that's typically the money you would use to give to the employees. But for now, don't go looking for it, it seems.
It does.
I don't know. I don't, like, I keep asking myself if I'm just ever going to get back in, even to see how that story ends.
No.
But I don't know. I can't even say now,
I can.
All right. Hey, you want to talk about VR at all?
Sure.
So Oculus did Oculus Go. That was kind of a budget but standalone thing.
Right.
They've announced something called Oculus Quest, which is a standalone thing and not budget, although it does appear to include the same optics as Oculus Go. But yeah, it's standalone. It'll work with the controllers, and they say it'll give Rift quality experiences.
So then why do I buy a Rift?
Well, I guess that's the question here. They've announced one. They say it's going to have 50 games at launch 2019. Yeah, spring of 2019. But for now, the only killer app they've announced is this Darth Vader Immortal game made in conjunction with Ninja Theory of Hellblade fame and ILM. So it's got a pedigree, and it's Star Wars. So I don't know where. I guess this is more of a where do we stand on VR? The industry is kind of, I think, at a plateau.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is, I mean, it's good in that it hasn't gone away, but then again, the Kinect didn't go away, and I still get Kinect vibes from this.
I don't.
I should say the Kinect didn't go away for years.
Yeah, I don't get that vibe from this. I see where you're coming from. I get
Not
that.
Completely. Or
Sure,
anything,
sure.
But
no, I get where you're coming from though. I think I agree with you 100% that we are at a plateau right now, and I think the plateau we're at is a very, very necessary plateau, because we're getting to a point where all of that stuff is slowly coming down in price. And
also, yeah, true.
And we're getting to a point where as that stuff comes down in price, the components needed to make them usually get smaller. So the things get smaller. They're not as bulky. They're not as heavy. And okay, here we go. Now we've got the new version. Bigger, bulkier, yes, but does way more. Way better fidelity. Way better this and that, right?
You're literally describing the Oculus whatever, dang it,
Quest.
Got the name of it already.
Quest.
The Oculus Quest. I mean, it's not even bigger and bulkier, but yeah, as stuff's gotten smaller, they put it on, and I'm sure there's new tech.
Right.
But
so
yeah.
I think where we're at is we're kind of nearing, we're in that weird spot where like the iPhone was. The iPhone came out and it was cool, man. Everybody wanted that. It was really neat. You could scroll on it. It had everything. But then you kind of had the iPhone. The iPhone 2 it had changes. It was good, but it was kind of similar where it just kind of got, things got smaller, got a little faster. Yeah. And it wasn't until like the 5 where things like it drastically changed.
Well, I want to say they didn't get native apps until like the 3G, I think, iPhone 3G.
Yeah, so it's like it was multiple iterations. And I think where we're at with this is kind of that. I think we're plateaued. We've hit that iPhone level of we're kind of at the top of the iPhone's initial run type thing, first couple of iterations, and we need somebody to figure out how to push this forward. And maybe it's a combination of VR, AR. Maybe it is the AR goggles that Microsoft was kind of working on and it now seems dead. Maybe that's the actual next best thing where
they're still pushing AR for sure.
But, but not in the same way that they were.
I never really had faith in the, what's that thing even called now? I can't remember.
The Microsoft Vaporware. But it's,
well, so where are we at then? Like where are you at with VR?
I think this is great. I think we're in a good spot. I think if...
Well, but you are having problems with... No, I mean like you.
I'm telling you, I don't...
You would still say you're great even with your problems?
Okay. I am fine with VR. My VR system has something wrong with it. That's the case. Not every VR system is going to be this way. Not every VR system is going to run into the issues that I did. From that perspective, it's really aggravating.
Well, yeah, no. So let's put it this way: you haven't gone out and bought a new set, or even.
Well, of course not.
I feel like, I mean, you did do some work to try and get that thing fixed, but I feel like you reached a point where it wasn't worth it, obviously, because you haven't done it. Or
I spent. I don't know how many RMAs I did with controllers for them. And then, I got to a point where actually what happened was I had to rebuild my computer. And in doing so, I just haven't reinstalled stuff because, it was very frustrating.
But that's what I'm talking about.
I'm not going to go out and rebuy a Vive right now because that was, super stupid expensive. I'm not doing that. If the Vive as it is now were to come down to like $200-$300, yes, I would absolutely go buy that. No question.
Well, now there's different, like there's a Vive Pro and
right.
I want to say even there's probably a newer model of the version you have.
Oh, absolutely. And I would consider, depending on the price, I'd consider replacing just the whole unit.
I guess my point is that because I've got a PSVR that I was hot and heavy on for when I was, but I don't know if I've picked it up, and I had people over, so I played it maybe... every time somebody came over, I would show it to them, stuff like that. That was maybe 10 times total. And I even have Star Trek Bridge Crew on there. And I want to say one other game is new. And I haven't put it back on. And maybe this is where the Shades of Kinect come in for me, is that it's just a thing to get it back on. And actually, we got a new cat who is chewing on it. Like he literally pulled off one of the stupid. It's got cool little storage plugs, rubber things on each side where I can put the things, and he chewed one of them off, and I haven't even found it. I don't know where he put it.
Oh, it's in the litter box, dude.
So
you already cleaned that up.
Landfill, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, and not that it's the hardest thing in the world to set that thing up. It probably wouldn't be the hardest thing in the world for you to get yours up and running again.
It takes time.
But we haven't done it, I guess is what I'm saying.
No,
so,
and something that I've thought about, like if I had, I kind of go, okay, I need like a full day to redo this.
Right, exactly.
And, it'll take me.
And I need like a full 10 minutes.
Well, because I gotta reinstall everything, and I gotta
Right.
recharge everything, and so that's like, it's like an 8-hour thing. And honestly, there are so many other things that I could be playing and doing. And yeah, honestly, I should just put the thing up on Craigslist and sell it. That's what I should do. But there's always that moment of,
And you're going to want it. Yeah.
and I know it'll come. I know it'll happen because, and it's I've gotten close because, man, Beat Saber looks like just so much fun.
Very true.
But
I keep hearing about Polybius is another game.
But Beat Saber is a game that as much as, I don't know. I guess I go back and forth on this. I could get it for the PSVR because it's coming to that if it's not already there. I know that if I do it on the PC, like there's gonna be weird hacks for it and mods that you can put more songs in there and stuff.
Yeah, in fact, isn't that one of the? Can't you bring in any?
I have no idea.
Music?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that game other than what it does, like how you play it, which I love.
That's true. We don't. So VR, there you go. We checked in on it. You can watch that trailer for the Darth Vader game. Although whatever.
All right.
We've spent probably too much time on not what's the biggest news and could be our capper for the week, even though I don't know
the capper
if I've got like a real deep dive into this. If anything, it might belong in the housekeeping section because it's a final update to something we have talked about at least 2 or 3 times before.
Sure.
But number one, we found out that the whole account stuff with Fortnite and PS4, like you couldn't bring in your account to a Switch or an Xbox if you couldn't. In fact, I think we ran into this actually at one point. You had a PC account that didn't come over or something.
Yeah, my PC account, and then I had to make up I had to use like a different email address and everything to create it so I could play on Xbox.
Yeah, so that's apparently solved. Epic is working on a migration tool so you can combine accounts if that's what you did to solve that in the past. But it looks like PlayStation has opened up whatever they needed to open up so that you can use the same account on a PlayStation or an Xbox or a Switch. In conjunction with, drum roll, no thank you, cross-platform play. They unlocked the floodgates. Well, the beta floodgates. And for Fortnite. And this had been released, I think, as of the 28th, actually. It's out there.
Yeah, it was last Tuesday, I think.
And all their terminology is great and dumb. There's a blog post up there you can read, but it includes such statements as, today the communities around some games have evolved to the point where cross platform, actually
that makes more sense.
Strangely appropriate. Cross-platform experiences add significant value to players.
Ooh,
he said.
Congratulations, Sony, for wow, that's new.
In recognition of this, we have completed a thorough analysis of the business mechanics required to ensure that the PlayStation experience for our users remains intact today and in the future as we look to open up the platform.
Wow.
Long story short, cross-platform play works with Fortnite now in a beta capacity, and they have confirmed they will be rolling it out in a larger format at some point, allowing other games to take advantage of it as well.
Yeah, and they've been they did say that the games that can take care of that can use this, it will be a case-by-case basis.
Sure.
Here's what I see. I see any other console gets a cross-play thing, especially if it's both Switch and Microsoft. PlayStation will do it, guaranteed. My curiosity is when does a game that's coming out on PlayStation first, like Call of Duty, for example. Let's say they cross.
Exactly the game I'm
thinking
of, yeah.
Let's say they bring it out PS4 first. Do they enable cross-platform right away if that's what Activision wants to do, or do they wait to see if Microsoft and Nintendo and PC do it? You know, when does Sony take their initial step and say, okay,
Right.
we're doing it for this game?
And some of it's behind the scenes. Like there will be game specific work that needs to go into it. It's going to involve Sony working with publishers and developers. So there probably is not a switch that they can flick and it works for every game. There's a little bit of a switch they can.
There's a bit of a switch they can do, because look, in most of these cases, let's remember the cross-platform thing. They just are opening. They're essentially what they're doing is they're kind of just opening ports. There's more to it than that, but like again, Sony had to do nothing, and accidentally Epic turned on crossplay and it worked.
That's true. That is
Oops.
true. So you would imagine that work was done server side, developer side.
Psyonix has said, yeah, we've tested it internally. We just have to flip a switch. It's ready to go.
Also, yeah.
This has been Sony not wanting to open their environment, not wanting to play with everybody, because we are so much better. We've got this stuff going. And I'm sorry,
Matt.
that is 100% how I see this. And they can come back and say it was business decisions, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Business mechanics, Matt.
Yeah, business mechanics. Just explain to me how now Microsoft and Nintendo are it's all dead for them. Their business mechanics are destroyed. I realize they're different companies, but at the same time, man, like
it was all
Sony's
facade.
reasoning
It
has
really
always
was.
been kind of trash.
Yeah. But whatever, they got over it. They saw the tide. They at least read the writing on the wall.
They did.
You know,
The butt hurt has been relieved.
I guess. But it's exciting for the future. Maybe that's the capper. Like this does the future wherein we're all playing together, no matter what platform.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
It sure is.
I'm into that.
Now the question is, when do we get cross parties?
Well, that'll never work because of Xbox. They refuse to integrate working party systems.
That's 100%
on their platform.
True.
So
I absolutely, you know what? Their absolute just ridiculousness with having to have firewall on just pisses me off on so many levels.
Man, that's right. We ran into that again. We were trying to set some stuff up for the Vote Writers stream. We were trying to see what games we could cross-platformly play between just even PC and Xbox. Surprisingly small list given us two people. It turns out
I thought it was a bigger list. Honestly, I really did.
It's a big list for us too. It's not that big.
So much. Yeah.
But hey, that's 0 Hit Points, wherein you've just heard it. So podcast at 0hitpoints.com. Thanks for tuning in. As always, we're appreciative, incredibly appreciative. If you want to be appreciative, I've heard iTunes reviews are great. I'm happy that you're here kind of either way. But you know, Matt, on the other hand, please leave an iTunes review or he'll find out where you live.
I may have a conniption. And hey, if you guys haven't been paying attention last week, I didn't stream a ton last week. There's some stuff going on. I will be back this afternoon, in fact. You can come see me
for
here.
Listeners, for me, and I'm sorry to interrupt with this rude question.
Yeah, it's driving me crazy.
Are you doing okay? Are you okay? You don't got to go into details, but those of us who care.
Things are, they're in flux.
Okay.
We'll
improved enough that you're feeling like you can stream, though, it seems like.
Sure. That's what we're gonna. It's
okay.
Can and need to are two different things, and the need to is not necessarily for the reason you might think. It's I think it's a sanity thing.
You need the community.
So here we go. So I haven't been there. Come this afternoon, Twitch TV/0 Hit Points. We'll be playing Dead by Daylight. We will be rocking out. It's going to be fun. We've got our sub button now. I'm talking to people about getting emotes. If you know people that do art that you really like for emote stuff, hit me up. Let me know. I would like to know.
And thank you to everyone that has come forth with the
yes. Okay. Yes, all of our subs.
Come forward doesn't sound right either. We're not #MeToo. Has offered up their services and their art and their examples. A lot of great stuff out there, and we appreciate all of your tweets.
Yeah, we are bringing all of those artists that are volunteering stuff or people that are sharing information with us. We are copying that stuff, and I know I'm not responding to every every response here, and I've probably got to go back and read a bunch of them. But
we see you.
But yeah, we do. We will see you. We do see you. Thank you for that. Thank you for all of our subs that have come by to the Twitch channel, all the following that people have been doing, and all the bits that have been cheered. It's been amazing.
Oh
It's
man,
been so much
yeah,
fun.
you guys are great. Seriously.
Now
that I know what bits are, I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool.
Even if you didn't, I think it would be cool. But that's 0HITPOINTS, twitch.com.
Yeah, come back Thursday. We're gonna do Kodachrome. See you guys. Bye.